Nobody wants to use Nigeria's new central bank digital currency, and I have a theory about why. Life under communism sucks, and central bank digital currencies are really just demand-side communism. What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and with that, we are going to shrink my big melon of a head, and let's get into some of this article here. Digital currency plan falters as Nigerians are defiant on crypto. Less than 0.5% of Nigerians are using the digital currency. Now, this came out over a year ago. After over a year, still, less than 1 out of every 200 people in Nigeria is willing to use the central bank digital currency. And in true communist fashion, when people choose not to live the way you want to live, what is the answer? The answer, of course, is to force them to live that way. So Nigeria's next plan was to limit cash withdrawals to $45 per day in hopes that it would force people to use the CBDC. If you can't get your hands on cash, then you have no other choice, right? Well, not so much. Because check this one out just today. Bitcoin premium in Nigeria tops 164% amid demonetization. The central bank's move to invalidate current notes and the subsequent cash withdrawal restrictions have increased demand for Bitcoin, so much so that Bitcoin was trading at $62,499 on local Bitcoins, even though at that time the current price of Bitcoin was only $23,694. Think about that for a minute. Nigerians are so turned off by the idea of a central bank digital currency that they are willing to pay 2.5 times as much for Bitcoin rather than transact in their government commie crypto. Now, why do I call it commie crypto? Why do I think central bank digital currencies are really just communism by another name? Well, first, let's take a look at what the definition of communism really is. Now, to start, we're going to have to talk with communism's idiot cousin, socialism, because some people out there insist they're not one and the same thing. I don't get it, but okay, let's entertain that notion. According to Investopedia, the definition of socialism is a populist economic and political system based on collective, common, or public ownership of the means of production. And we can simplify that down even more. When you hear collective, common, or public, what they're really telling you is government. So the definition of socialism is government ownership of the means of production. In other words, socialism is government control of supply. Any economic equation has two sides, supply and demand, and in order to control their economies, socialist governments seize control of all of the means of supply. And of course, I have a much simpler definition for communism, and for that we have to go to Urban Dictionary, where they define communism as everyone suddenly wants it when you bring a pack of bubble gum to school. And they even give you an example. Joe brings gum to class, the whole damn class says, we need communism. Now, I'm sure these poser trust fund babies that are trying to burn down Atlanta right now would just love to sit there and debate the definition of communism and go over the nuance between socialism and communism with me. And I'm sure that would just be a riveting discussion. Guys, I'd really love to have that conversation, but unfortunately, I have to return some videotapes. And now I'll get to the point about why I think CBDCs are really just demand-side communism. Because what are they going to do with the CBDCs once they actually get them? They're going to use them to control your behavior. They might say, in order to reduce your carbon footprint, we're going to limit the amount of meat you can eat every month. And they can track every single purchase using your digital wallet, and so they will know when you're buying meat, and they'll just switch off your money when they think you've had enough. That way, the price of meat stays the same because they have artificially destroyed demand for that meat by switching off your money when they say you've had enough. Although they, the ones making that decision, will never switch off their own money, of course, thus the price of meat for them will never change. They'll do the same thing with fuel. When you've consumed too much gasoline for the month, they'll switch your money off so you can't buy anymore. Of course, John Kerry has important work to do, so his money will never get shut off. CBDCs can also be used to exert social control over people. Say things critical about the government. Oh, sorry, your money doesn't work anymore. Attend a truckers' rally in Canada. Oh, sorry, your money doesn't work anymore. CBDC is a tyrant's dream come true. It gives them absolute control over how your money is spent. And people don't want to live that way. Case in point, after a full year, 99.5% of Nigerians are still not willing to use their new CBDC, so much so that they're willing to pay 165% premium to buy Bitcoin rather than let their money be changed over to their central bank digital currency. So whereas communism and socialism are basically defined as government ownership of the means of production, in other words, government ownership of supply, CBDCs really just does the same thing, but on the other side of the economic equation. It's government ownership of the means of demand. They're doing the same thing, they're just doing it on the other side of the fence. The net result is the same. Plenty for them, none left over for you. Till next time, live small and dream big.